Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Matchbook Horse Racing Podcast, where we've got an excellent weekend's action for you, we hope, because hopefully it survives the weather. Obviously, no racing on Friday. We're doing this Thursday evening, but Saturday, I think it should be okay. And we're going to cover 10 races across 3 tracks for you. More races because Matchbook lending their support to the card at Wincanton, including the Matchbook Kingwell Hurdle. We will get to that. First of all, I'll say hello to everyone. Sam Turner, how are you?
Thomas, a lot of wind around this weekend. That's not just this podcast.
No, yes, exactly. I'm going to be giving less wind on the podcast because I'm not tipping today. And my excuse was I was on a plane all day, so I haven't studied and I'd just be guessing. And yeah, I do that every week, but it'd be worse guessing. No guessing from Adele Mulrennan. Pinpoint accuracy from you as ever. How are you? How was your trip?
It was good. It was nice. The weather was beautiful. It's been absolutely awful since I've been back. It's a bit of a shock with the weather, but it was nice. Enjoyed it. Thank you.
And Donn, you look like you've just had a week in Dubai as well.
Yeah, no, Dundalk. It's beside it in the glossary. It's not far off it in the glossary at the back of the atlas. Yeah, Dundalk. That's as far as I went. Yeah,
I get the two mixed up.
It's easily done, Tom.
Well, since Dubai moved their fixtures to a Friday, you have Dubai Fridays, Dundalk Fridays. There you go. Right, we'll move into the previews very shortly. Just a reminder that if you're watching on YouTube, do give us a thumbs up and subscribe as well. It takes you no time at all to do, but it helps us and it helps you to listen and watch our content. And give us a review on the podcast. You can review us up to 5 stars. The choice is yours. I mean, go 5. And also follow us on your preferred podcast app. Let's get stuck into the race previews. We've also got a competition for you, giving away tickets for the Matchbook Kingwell Hurdle, but I'll come to that when we get to the Kingwell itself. So this is the get £20 risk-free on Matchbook Handicap Chase. You know all about that offer. We've done it loads. This is the 213 at Wincanton. Fragrant Deletiep is currently 3.25, as is Native Robin. We've got joints at the top of this betting. 4.0 for Goes Steady. Corto the King is 8.5. Then we're into the slightly bigger prices. Couple of shouts for Fragrant Deletiep. Donn, I'll let you make the case first of all.
Yeah, look, I just think his run the last day, Tom, was good on ground that was probably better than ideal for him. It was over this course. It doesn't say loads of it at Wincanton. He's finished second 3 times, won once in 5 visits there, and 2.5 miles back on softer ground. That should suit him better. I thought the handicapper might have given him a couple of pounds for that run the last day, but he didn't. He's back off a mark of 125, and he's only 7. He's only had 8 runs over fences, so he still has potential to improve again. And I just thought his main market rival, Native Robin, while he loves the track as well, I just thought he had more potential to improve than Native Robin does. While Native Robin won really well last time, he did get £8 for that. And I just think Flagrant Deletiep, like he was he kind of led for a long way the last day, and he just got worried out of it. But Dorking lad on the far side from the final fence, but he kept on well. I just thought he raced like easier ground should suit him. The more emphasis that softer ground would place on stamina would suit him. And yeah, I know he's at the top of the market, but I think he's a worthy favourite.
Sam, what would you like to add to that?
I couldn't add a great deal, to be honest. I mean, obviously the pace will probably come from Native Robin, who's been in rich vein of form since the various accoutrements have been added to his being. And, you know, he's obviously in great nick, but as Donn says, he's 12 years of age now. He's been to the well a little bit since early December. And I just wonder whether Flagrant Deletiep was a little bit fresher than him. I like the booking of Jamie Moore. Fair run last time, as Donn outlined already. And the Walford team continuing pretty good order. I think Hatiti won for them recently, so they're continuing good heart. So it was a difficult race for me to try and make much of the front of the market, but he just about got the nod.
Adele, you're with Corto the King, who I remember putting up earlier on this year, just at the point that the Tizzards started their dip, I think. But they seem to be back amongst the winners again now.
Yeah, definitely. Well, this horse, he also likes Wincanton, and I do think the course and distance form is always good to have on side. And you know, this horse won back in November off the mark of 127. That was in a conditional jockeys race, but since then they've been trying him over further, and I don't think he stayed. So I think back down to what is a winnable mark for him, and the fact that he's back down in trip, I think, is a plus for him. He loves Wincanton. He goes really well there as well. So it's a tricky race. A few of them like it round there. So it's just trying to see. It's just kind of catch the one that's right on the day. Native Robin, I kind of had him on side at first. I think even though he's 12 years old, he's very much in good heart. But I just think the fact that he's back down in trip will be a plus for this horse. So I'm going to go with him, and he's not a bad price, so I'll stick with him.
Yeah, he's the biggest price of the lot, around about 9.5, as I'd said. Let's move on to the 248. This is a beautifully named race over 3 miles and a furlong. It's the Matchbook Betting Podcast Handicap Chase. So thought only right that we include that. I can imagine that the entire panel were delighted when they realised that Matchbook was coming through the card and that we were going to throw in 3 more races. It's pumping you, Sam.
It's an absolute belter, this. Another 12-year-old in good nick as well with Max Dynamo. Horse that's come into the race in really good order, courtesy of a couple of wins. Came back from a nice one break to win again for Emma Bishop. But I've just gone with Tide Times in the end. No great reason other than he's taking a bit of a class drop here. Quite like the fact that Charlie Todd's claims another 3. The Doncaster run was sound enough on ground that was probably quick enough. I think he'll enjoy the rain down in the West Country that they've seen the last couple of days. And, the extra run behind Le Milos was a fairly decent one. So, yeah, I've just plumped with him. But he'd probably be about a 2 or a 3 out of 10 for me in this race, to be honest.
No, makes perfect sense. Let me just update the betting. 3.25 for Max Dynamo. Tide Times is 5.0, 5.5 for Heavey. What ground are you working on, Sam, for Wincanton?
I haven't seen it. I must admit, I haven't seen the latest forecast since early on in the week, but I think they're due a bit more, aren't they? Obviously, the storm that's moving in, Storm Dudley 8, that's coming in. And Eunice as well, following not far behind. So there's going to be a fair bit of action. It'll be a lively weather picture anyway. And obviously Ascot are going to get a fair bit Saturday morning, I think. Be surprised if Wincanton don't see any. It's already soft there. So I'm working on that purpose.
Yeah, Storm Dudley, then Storm Eunice, and they go in alphabetical order, obviously DE. And if there's another one, it'll begin with F. And I can think of a very good name for that.
Yeah.
If it around quickly,
especially if you're flying back from Bahrain when it's coming.
Adele, you're with the horse at the top of the betting.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with the old boy, Max Dynamo. I know he's 12 years old, but he's very much at the top of his game for his age, isn't he? He's in good heart. Obviously, that was he's still quite likely race this season. That was his first run back in January and winning over just slightly further than Saturday's trip. I think I can't see why he wouldn't be able to follow up again, to be honest with you. He clearly likes the track, backing up that win that he had when we last saw him back in May. Ground-wise, I probably would have thought he might have wanted it a little bit more drying. So I'm hoping if the wind might just dry it out a little bit more for him. But he handles soft ground. He's been placed on it, so I can't see why he wouldn't handle it. But I think as long as there's not too much rain, if there is any. Just you don't know, do you? It's localized. The kind of wind blows the rain. So some places will miss it and some are going to get it.
It's almost easier when you know.
When you know,
yeah, like Haydock.
Haydock, you don't know what you're going to get there anyway. Monsoon.
Yeah, exactly. We'll come to that. We're going to finish up with Haydock. We're going to move on to the feature on the day. Certainly, as far as we're concerned, at Matchbook, it's the Matchbook Wincanton Matchbook Betting Exchange Kingwell Hurdle, the 320. And this is over a mile, 7 furlongs. It's a grade 2, of course. Now, before we get stuck into the preview, this is the competition we've got for you. So there are 2 tickets for you. If you can guess correctly what price last year's winner, which was Goshen, went off on the Matchbook Betting Exchange. It doesn't help you. Obviously, you can look at his SP if you want and convert it to decimals. Any fractional suggestions will be thrown out immediately. That would be banned. So Steve Jones, if you're watching and guessing, you're not going to get anything right, Mr. Fractional. But yeah, so if whoever's closest, or if you get it spot on, 2 tickets for you to pick up at Wincanton on Matchbook Kingwell Hurdle Day. So get your suggestions in, and obviously, we're looking to prove to you that it's going to be a bigger price than it went off at SP. Well, it is. So there you go. There's a starting point for you. Right. As far as the Matchbook Kingwell Hurdle goes, Goshen is right at the top of the betting, 1.81. Adagio is 2.25. Favois is 17.0, and Landinabo Lad is 26.0. So we've got the 4 here. All right, Goshen, first of all, that's where I would have gone. Seems the obvious starting point. Adele, straight back with you to make the case.
Well, I wouldn't back him. I probably don't.
Adele's paused.
Oh dear.
That's it. That's it. On a betting podcast, she said I wouldn't back him, so we booted her out.
Yes.
I think when she said Goshen, that's when she froze.
Yeah.
Is that
Sam,
like
what would you like to add to that, Sam? For you, for Goshen?
I wouldn't back him, but no. It's like
Get
an automated algorithm. As soon as you say that, you get kicked off. I would back Goshen actually because I think he'd be a good trading vehicle. There was a bit of 2.3 whatever it was early on in the week. He has tightened up a bit now, I think. Tom, I'm right in saying he should get his own way of it in front. I'm just looking at his record because obviously he's returned to the track within 2 weeks of winning at Sandown and impressing when he won at Sandown, the Dublin Racing Festival weekend. And he's got quite a good record when he's returned to the track within a couple of weeks. He's won after 13 days, I think after 18, after 19. So he does back up pretty well for a National Hunt horse. Surely he's going to get his own way in front here. Right-handed, perfect. Some proper soft ground, perfect. I am fearful of Adagio. He's a tremendously consistent horse. And, if he's going to have pretensions at racing at the top table going forward, then he's going to have to be very competitive here. But I just think Goshen, when he's in this sort of nick and he's in the mood that he was in at Sandown, I think he's a very hard horse to resist. So I've got to stay with him, really.
Adagio, I think, is a really interesting horse because he effectively ran a belter Donn last time. But you're with him. Is that purely you think they should be closer in the betting?
Yeah, look, Goshen at odds on. That's always a red flag to me. Look, he's a very, very talented horse. He has to go right-handed. I was against him the last time at Sandown. I thought the ground might not be soft enough for him, but that was right-handed, and he was very impressive in winning. And look, you have to respect him as last year's winner, but I just think Adagio, he was obviously one of last year's top juveniles. He won at Chepstow, won the Grade 1 hurdle at Chepstow, ran really well in the juvenile hurdles at Cheltenham and Aintree. And the last 3 winners of this race were 5-year-olds. And Goshen did Song for Someone came back last year after winning it as a 5-year-old, and Goshen beat him as a 6-year-old. When he was a 6-year-old, Goshen was a 5-year-old. And Adagio, he's got nothing to find with Goshen on ratings. He's rated £4 inferior. He gets £3, so nothing on that. But I just thought his run in the Greatwood Hurdle was a very good run, and that race is working out really well. Tritonic was 5th. He won the big handicap hurdle at Ascot after that. Glory and Fortune was 6th. He won the Betfair hurdle at Newbury there at the weekend. And Adagio, I thought he ran really well in it for a horse that's fairly inexperienced, a young horse. He was only 4, obviously, back then. So I think he can come on from that. It was a seasonal debut. It was his first run since he got beaten in the juvenile hurdle at Aintree. And I just thought I wouldn't have been surprised if he'd been put in as favourite in front of Goshen. Look, I see the Goshen case, of course, right-handed, of course, soft ground, big positives, and he's talented. But I just think Adagio just might be able to improve past him.
It is a really interesting race, particularly those top 2 in the betting. Adele, you can flesh out your case because all we got was a win back.
I don't think I could ever back Goshen, to be honest with you. I don't know. It doesn't matter what price he is. He's just too unpredictable for me. Even though we know he's better, right-handed, and he loves Sandown. He obviously likes Wincanton, and I do think he's better in smaller fields. But he's by authorised, which you can lens by authorised, and he's quirky. A couple of horses that Paul rides, Sir Chauvelin, and they seem to get better, I think, with age. They seem to take longer to mature, and I think he's very much the same. And I think the key to him is just letting him obviously find a rhythm. There's not many runners, so I think the fact that it's at Wincanton, he's right-handed, his follow-up wins have not gone well, have they, the last couple of seasons? But I mean, I can't back him, but I think he'll win. I think he's just going to take time, this horse, to grow up. To be honest with you, I think he's going to take time to mature. So I don't think you can never write him off. He's clearly got an engine. I just won't back him, but I think he'll win.
No, I hear you. I sort of hope he wins as well, but I think it'd be nice to get a dual winner of the race. And he's a very popular horse because I think he's got his own way of going about things. Anyway, move on. A couple of shouts for Gosh and one shout for Adagio. Move on to the 358, which is the Wincanton match for betting. No, it's not. It's the match for Better Way to Bet handicap hurdle. 358 this is, and Mr. Glass is 3.0. Sizable Sam is 7.0. 8.0 for Master Debonair. Stella Magic Solway 1. And Trincomalee. When we get into the slightly bigger prices. Interesting little betting heat. 3 different selections. Sam, I backed Stella Magic last time. You're with him now, so go on, help me out.
Well, first I should say that it could be an absolute blot on the handicap 127 for Mr. Glass. That could be. Now with the yard back in some form, another winner this afternoon. They've only trained 6 since Christmas, which is since New Year's Day, which is a bit disconcerting, but they are starting to find their feet again, the Nichols camp. So he could be a very interesting horse, obviously behind Constitution Hill last time. Everyone can read that form, and he stays very well. So looks just the type to make a lovely staying chaser next year and a decent handicap hurdler this year. But Stella Magic, I'll afford him another opportunity, really. I thought he was quite impressive at Haydock, behind Up for Parole. I think he's quite a talented horse. He traded very short when getting beat at Wetherby earlier on this week, and ran really well in the Lanzarote. So I think that's a fairly decent run at Haydock. He recalled off that run a little bit, Stella Magic, an early mistake, as you could probably testify to. Tom hadn't had a bet in him, probably cost him valuable momentum, lengths and energy at Ascot. But I think going back right-handed here, he's a dual winner at Taunton. I don't think he's done with yet off this mark of 135. I'm not saying he's chucked him, but I think it's a workable mark. He should enjoy the ground. I know he's a bit hit and miss, this horse, but I just thought at 8.0, he was worth taking the chance with. The Haydock run was a pretty positive one. It stacked up well against the other races on the card. The circuit time was strong and also the overall time. So I think it was a truly run handicap, and fingers crossed he can vindicate the faith here.
I might. I think that's a good enough case. I might go back in because I couldn't bear to see him win and not be on off the back of last time. You're with the big lad, Don.
Sizable Sam, yeah. There's a sound theme running through this preview, I think. Look, I just think
that wasn't a comment about Sam.
What are you referring to here, Don? Choose your words carefully.
The horse is a big horse, Sizable Sam.
That's it. They're my words, Sam. Yeah, look, I just thought back over hurdles the last time he had 2 goes over fences. It didn't work out for him. Back over hurdles the last time at Taunton, and he ran really well. They put cheek pieces on him for the first time. He seemed to take to them well. He probably didn't fully see out 3 miles at Taunton last time. Back over 2 miles, 5.5 at Wincanton. Again, he's another horse who loves Wincanton. He's run there 4 times. He's finished second twice and won twice. And cheek pieces are back on again. Slight drop back down in trip. And he's a horse. Nick Sculfey has a really good record on him as well. He's only 7 as well. He's only run 6 times over hurdles, so he still has potential to improve from this. Jeremy Scott's horses are in good form. I think there's plenty in his favour. The ground and the trip and the track all in his favour, and plus the fact that he had that kind of those runs over fences and got his eye in again over hurdles with cheek pieces on for the first time. He probably came forward from that for all that he maybe didn't fully see out 3 miles. So. Yeah, I think he's comes here in good form, and it's a good plan to go back over hurdles with him.
And Adele at the top of the betting.
I'm going with Mr. Glass. I think the fact that he's stepping up in trip, obviously, I think having the form with Constitution Hill is very good for him. It was probably a bit too sharp for him. He was definitely didn't kind of have the toe to go with them, but he's a lovely horse. He's a lovely, big, athletic horse, and as Sam said, he will make a really nice novice chaser next season. But I think he's got unfinished business still over hurdles this season, and I think the fact that he's obviously back down into handicap company. Paul Nicholls has won the race 5 times in the last 10 years. So yeah, I think he's a really nice horse, and I can't see why he wouldn't be able to run a big race. I don't think he's a bad price. What did you say was 3? Was he 3 point some?
Yeah, 3.0.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's bad at all. So yeah, I'd like to see him get his head back in front. And as I said, I still think there's unfinished business there with him over hurdles. Ground wise, handles anything. Triple suit him as well. Next year, obviously make a nice stayer over fences. But I think he's a nice horse. This horse.
That's Wincanton done. And I'll just remind you of the competition first of all. So we'll put it on Twitter as well. The closest guess to Goshen's winning price in the Kingwell Hurdle on Matchbook. So the Matchbook betting exchange price for Goshen, it was bigger than his SP, but you got to guess what it was. And the closest gets 2 tickets to Wincanton, which you can pick up for Kingwell Hurdle Day on Saturday. We'll contact you directly for those. So get your guesses coming in. The ongoing offer from Team Matchbook is as follows. It's a sign-up offer. It's a £20 welcome offer, and it's money back as cash if your first bet loses. It is for new customers only, as you know, and to take advantage, you need to use the bonus code INSIGHTSRF, Romeo Foxtrot RF. For that, place your first bet. If it loses, you get your stake back as cash. The full terms and conditions are on the Matchbook website. That is the £20 sign-up offer or welcome offer for new customers only. Right, the 150 at Ascot is the Reynoldstown. Traditionally, really like this race. It's got a nice open field to it as well, with 3.5 Does He Know, who's got the penalty. Correct Rambler is 4.5, 5.0 for Annual Invictus with cheek pieces on now, 7.0 Doyen Breed, Fernhill 10.0, and Geoffroy is 11.0. We'll start with the outsider of the bunch then, Donn.
Yeah, Geoffroy, I just don't think he should be the outsider of the bunch, Tom. Look, I think Does He Know is probably the most likely winner for all that he maybe wouldn't want it bottomless if the rains do come. But Geoffroy, I don't think he should be as far behind Corach Rambler as he is in the betting. He got to within 12 lengths of him last time. He's £9 better off at the weights. And more than that, I just think the ground, the softer ground is going to play to his strengths. Jumped a bit to his right as well at Cheltenham last time. So back on a right-handed track, that should suit him. He's got good Ascot form as well over hurdles. He won there last season. And yeah, like that was just a second run over fences. He's a 9-year-old, so he doesn't have the kind of youthful profile that some of his rivals do have, but he's a relatively lightly raced 9-year-old. He's only had those 2 runs over fences. And I think back on softer ground and back right-handed at Ascot, I think that's all in his favour. And yeah, I just was surprised that he was such a big price. I thought, he's worth a few quid maybe at whatever, 11.0 or 12.0.
Yeah, he's outsider of this bunch, Geoffroy. He is 11.0. Adele, I know you're sitting this one out. And Sam, you are with Kim Bailey's Does He Know?
Yeah, more by, default, really. I was hoping to back Brinkley in this, but he's a non-runner, unfortunately. He was due to run. I thought he had everything in his favour, really. Some soft ground. And that is my concern, like Don's probably, for Does He Know? So I can certainly see where he's coming from with Geoffroy. I mean, he's been as big as 15 in the week, 15.0. So that has been money for him, and the stable continuing good form. So I can certainly see the angle there. Corach Rambler, I'm a little bit worried, like tongue time for the first time and held up out the back. Unless they go a good gallop here, I'm just a little bit concerned that he might not get into the race around Ascot. I could see pace here from Don's horse, and there was one other front runner which I could see. Fernhill probably was another pace angle. So it was the Kim Bailey horse for me, just because he's been running against a really decent horse of the Nichols teams, 300 through 5 a couple of times this year. Obviously running a Ballymore last year as well, so he was a pretty classy hurdler. And I just think I don't think we've seen the best of him yet. I think staying trips over 3 miles in races that he can possibly win, I think he could make up into a really nice staying chase. And this is his Gold Cup, really, without too many luminaries in against him. But it is a bit of a nagging doubt for me that he doesn't want genuinely soft ground. I think good to soft would have been fine, but I think they're supposed to get another 4 or 5 mil on Saturday morning. That is a little bit of a worry.
So Don's with Geoffroy and Sam, the other end of the betting with Does He Know for the Reynoldstown. We move on to the 225. This is the Swinley chase. It's a listed handicap chase, and again, it looks a decent one as well. Fiddler on the Roof could be Gold Cup bound, could be national bound. He is 3.25. 4.5 has asked me early. Caribbean Boy is 7.0. Then we get into the bigger prices, which I'll come to if anyone sticks them up there. Adele, let's hear from you first of all then. Who are you with?
I'm going with Ask Me Early, and I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm going against Sam. I know I've got him as I've got Fiddler on the Roof as my lay as well, which I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. But I just think this horse is definitely a nice horse. Obviously, he's making his first start over fences, kind of since March last year. He's run obviously over hurdles since. He was reported to have obviously had a kissing spine when he pulled up at Sandown last season, and he'd had that operated on and sorted. And I suppose when you've got a horse with kissing spine, you probably wouldn't really over race them much over fences anyway, and would run them over hurdles in between just to try to kind of save the backs a little bit. But he's definitely got an engine, this horse, and purely I just not quite sure Fiddler on the Roof, does he really stay? I don't know. Sam's going to tell me anyway if he does or not, but this horse does, so I'm going with him.
Go on, Sam.
I think he stays. Doesn't he? I mean, all he did was stay in the Hennessy, we'll call it that. I thought he was a bit unlucky not to win that day. Obviously, the winner got an inspired ride from Charlie Deutsch, but I thought Brendan Powell, if he'd perhaps jumped the last a little bit cleaner, or perhaps the second last a little bit cleaner, and got there on the bridle like he looked like he was going to do, having put him up, I thought he was a little unfortunate not to get by Cloudy Glen, who was on fire. He's got a good record fresh, this lad. I think he's won after 205 days and 328 days off, so that's not a problem. Actually, no, sorry, he's won from 60. He's won after 65 and 208 days off. He's also 4 from 8 right-handed, so that's no issue. A couple of horses have defied top weight in this race, Ballyoptic and Sausalito Sunrise, in the last 5-6 years, so that's not an issue for me. He was as big as 7.0 in the week, which I thought was a really ridiculous price, to be honest. And I wouldn't say he's the bet of the weekend now, really, at 3.25, 3.3, something along those lines. But I do think he's the class act. Ask Me Early's got a first preference at Wincanton, so might not run. Fortescue, I've got a bit of respect for him. I'm not sure whether Ascot is really his track, though. I couldn't just see. There wasn't a lot of strength in depth here for me. And he's a class horse, finished second in a Ladbroke Trophy. They're talking about him for a Gold Cup, and he's having to give a little bit of weight to the likes of Truckers Lodge and Caribbean Boy. So I thought he was a fair bet in this, to be honest.
Ultimately, whichever side of the fence you sit on, it's a thing of beauty when somebody's best bet is also somebody's best legs.
Yeah, we might not speak again, Adele.
Obviously. You'll be removed unceremoniously from the WhatsApp group. But I'm looking forward to it. Donn, you could be the referee in the middle. Who are you with?
I'm a Caribbean Boy, to whom Fiddler on the Roof has to give £6. I just think Caribbean Boy. Look, I'm a fan. I was with him when he fell at the first fence in the Silver Cup at Ascot 2 runs ago, and then he went and came good at Kempton last time. Stayed on well to beat Smarty Wild, who fell when he was travelling well there the other day. I think there's more to come from him over 3 miles. He's shaped over 2.5 miles for quite a while as if he would be better over 3 miles. He had no luck in the Paddy Power Plate at the festival last season, and he's had his run in the Paddy Power Gold Cup at Cheltenham back in November. He just shaped like a horse who will be better over further. They tried it at Ascot, got no further than the first, and that wasn't really his fault. He kind of got crowded out of it at the first fence and didn't really have anywhere to land. And then he was good at Kempton last time. He stayed on well down the near side. The Simon Munir and Isaac Swade, they also had Janica in here, and Good Boy Bobby, I think, as well. So it's interesting they're relying on Caribbean Boy. He got £4 for winning at Kempton the last time. I thought that was fine because he won well, and I think he can improve again over 3 miles, going 3 miles again. He completed at Ascot before. He finished third in a 3-horse race behind Dashel Drescher when he was well fancied, and he didn't really jump very well that day, and that's a bit of a concern, but he never really travelled that day. So I think it wasn't the track or the Ascot fences that were at play there. I think he's worth another chance at the track. Soft ground should be fine. And yeah, I just think 8.0 or thereabouts. I think he's still a progressive horse over this trip.
He's a fair price, 8.0. Fiddler on the Roof is the one that heads the betting. More on him later. Let's move on to the 3 o'clock. And this is a handicap hurdles class 2 contest over effectively 2.5. Top of the betting at 2.87 is good risk at all. Cap du Matin is 5.0. Zaccone Rebel is 7.5. 10.0 for Highway 102. Then we get into the slightly bigger ones. Again, 3 different selections here. Donn, I'll come straight back at you with Chris Gordon's horse.
Yeah, Highway 102. I just thought his run in the Lanzarote Hurdle the last day was a very good run. Look, he couldn't get close to Cobbler's Dream, but like we know that's always a very competitive handicap, and he just seemed to maybe get outstayed towards the end by Cobbler's Dream, and the slight drop back and trip on Saturday I think will suit him. Good risk at all. I just think he's a favourite worth taking on, because he seems to, like the last day at Warwick, he kind of seemed to have a look around and going to the final flight, and he keeps on finishing second these days. So I'm happy to be against him. And Captain Matan won well last time, but that was his first run in a while, and the form of that race is not working out well at all. So I think it's legitimate to be against the top 2 in the market. And Highway 102, while he's not really like absolutely unexposed over hurdles, he's had 11 runs. I thought his run the last day was good. It was up there with the best of his career. He'll handle the ground well. The slight drop back down and trip will suit him. He's gone well at Ascot before. He ran well in Soaring Glory's race at the October meeting at Ascot. He got £1 for that run the last day, which was fine. And yeah, 10.0 I think is more than fair about it.
And one of the most interesting horses in the race, Adele, is Piccadilly Lily, 15.0. You're just going for a place with her.
Well, I am, because I mean, obviously she's making a UK debut and a stable debut, but she's more just maybe one to watch. But I can't see why at her prices you wouldn't just have a little nibble at the place market. It's a race that has thrown up winners at big prices, one favourite in the last 10 years. Alan King, a trainer, knows the family well. He's obviously trained Coeur de Leon and Lisp, I think, and she's late to Thomas Campbell. So there's plenty of winners in a pedigree. A form from France isn't actually all that bad. So she's got an entry at Cheltenham as well. As I said, I just think just keep an eye on her. Just, you know, and while she's at that price, she might not be that price again. So after Saturday, I'm not sure what she'll do, but I just think she's interesting.
She's in the Mayor's Hurdle, Piccadilly Lily. Sam.
Yeah, I thought there was a fair bit of pace on here. I like Donn considered Highway 102. I was just a little put off with the fact that there was other front runners in the race that I was a bit whether he'd quite get his own way with Captain Mathan, Ballybeg, Reserve Tank in opposition. But I do respect him, and he'll probably go and win now. I've left him alone. But I doubt it. I'd put him up. I've gone with a horse that I saw firsthand at Ludlow last time, Zaccone Rebel. Toby Laws has got his team in pretty good order at the moment. I think there might be a bit more to come from this lad now. He stretches out in trip as well. I think they were talking about I think it was a valuable handicap hurdle at Sandown, I think, on the last day of the season. I think the race might be this lad's ultimate aim. Fingers crossed he gets there okay. But I just think 127, I think that's a very fair mark. He beat Trees last time at Ludlow, admittedly, but I think he's progressing. He won't mind the ground. And I thought he looked pretty professional winning at the South Shropshire venue, as you like to say, Tom. And I think we'll go with him at about 7.5.
That handicap hurdle at Sandown is that race, that 2.5 race that Ballymoy won a few years ago, I remember. Because I asked Nigel Tristan-Davis whether that would be it for the season after the race. And he went, well, it is the last.
I must have thought that was hilarious. Surely,
I just looked like a tip, basically.
It wasn't tongue in cheek.
No. I mean, no, it wasn't. I asked him genuinely.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought that was a genius. That's probably the best question you've ever asked.
Yeah, but I asked him genuinely, and he put me away quite rightly because I was a fool.
Imagine he put you away for any question, wouldn't he? NTD.
He's a tricky one. NTD. He's a tricky one. Yeah. Right, the 3:38, the Ascot Chase is the Grade 1. Fakir Doudary really shapes the race. I'm very pleased he's coming over. He is 4.0, 5.5 for Fanny and Destruval. St. Calvados is 5.5, 6.0 Mr. Fisher. Dashel Drasher is 7.0. Then we get stuck into the bigger prices. If I was tipping on the podcast, I'm not sure I could have had a go at this. I think I can make a case for so many, but we've got 2 for Mr. Fisher. So Sam, take it away first.
Oh, yeah, difficult races, Tom. And it is a little bit dependent on how much rain they do actually see on the Saturday morning for me. If it's not a bog, I think Mr. Fisher's got a really sound chance. He goes very well right-handed. He goes very well in small fields. He beat a subsequent winner at Kempton last time in good style, looking, pretty classy individual. His record when returning to the track in the days that he is, between, say, 3 and 5 weeks, is very good as well. Very, very strong record there. So he takes his racing well. I just wouldn't want it necessarily being a bog. That said, he has beaten Kalashnikov on proper soft ground at Cheltenham. So, that would allay that fear a little bit. But I do think the softer it gets plays into the strengths of the Irish raider, really, Fakir Duderie and perhaps one or two others. So it nullifies them, really, if the ground is just, genuinely soft or good to soft and it does dry out a touch. Really worried about Joseph's horse coming over because I think he's in rude health. I can pass that on. And he'd be a real big danger for me. Obviously, he ran really well in the 2 mile 5 at the Ryanair last year. Name escapes me. I do try and expunge that name from my memory, Mr. O'Leary's. But yeah, he ran really well in that. He was the only one that finished in the same postcode as Allaho, whereas Mr. Fisher was beat at the top of the hill like a lot of them. So he's a huge danger. I'd probably have a little saver on him, but I think Mr. Fisher's sort of drifted 6.0 to a price where I'm almost thinking of getting involved. So I've got to stay loyal.
Yeah, Mr. Fisher, for you, there was saver on the favourite. Donn, you were Mr. Fisher.
Yeah, look, all of what Sam said. Look, I love Fakir Duderies, and it is great that he's going over, and it's a pity he's just been knocking heads with Allaho for the last year or so, and he finished second behind him in the Kinloch Bray Chase last time, and he was never really going to beat him. He made a mistake early on that day, I think, and he never really got close to Allaho. But there's no disgrace in not getting close to Allaho. There's no Allaho here, so I think he's the right favourite. But like Sam, I just thought Mr. Fisher was the wrong price. Like his run the last day when he beat Eldorado Allen, that was a really good run. And Eldorado Allen, I know he stepped up and tripped last time at Newbury in the Denman Chase, but he was very good in winning that day, albeit on better ground. But for me, Mr. Fisher, as well as winning that Peterborough Chase at Cheltenham on soft ground, it was soft ground at Kempton last time. So there's been I know Nicky Henderson was saying he wouldn't want it too soft, and you wouldn't want it bottomless, but genuinely soft ground, I think he should be fine with it. And I think maybe his price has been inflated because of the worry about the ground, when I don't think it's as big a concern as the market seems to think. So look, St Calvados ran a hell of a race in the King George when the distance was probably too far and too much use was made of him too early. Fagnon Destraval's a talented horse as well. It's a hell of a race. But yeah, I think Mr. Fisher is the value.
Adele, just before I come to you, Brian has said, is your nap opinion as strong as the day you were all over Shishkin? I mean, it's just not. Shishkin basically got beat, didn't he, Adele? I mean, he just won. I mean, unbelievable. In fact, look, we'll come to you on that. There's a bad time to ask that question. We'll come to you on that. Who do you like here, Adele? You're with the Drasher.
Yeah, I am. To be honest with you, I thought it was one of them races where I think, I don't know if I could even have a bet, because I don't know why. If I had the diaries, I mean, I don't know why. Like he's got great form coming into it. I just don't know why I don't like him. I'm not sure why. Anyway, I nearly went with Mr. Fisher, and then I thought Dashel Drasher. I mean, he loves it round Ascot. I think he just loves the rhythm of Ascot. He'll handle any ground that's thrown at him. So it doesn't matter what the weather and the storm does on Saturday, he handles any ground. So I think that's not a problem. That's one ticked off. We know he loves Ascot. I know he got beat last time out and he was given 2 for gold. Was it £6? He was only beating a short head, but you definitely couldn't knock his attitude. He was really gritty at the finish. So I'd rather think I'd have him on side, to be honest with you. So, I mean, I honestly changed my mind 10 times for this race. But I'm going to go Dashel Drasher, even though I struggled to say his name.
Dan says, he's not going to get a chance to answer it. Dan says, what does Sam think of Tiger Roll getting called from the National? I mean, we clearly know what Sam thinks, and we're not even going to answer it because it will just be here for too long. Yeah, Sam loves Michael O'Leary. It's
a disgrace.
You got more Midlands than when you said that, Sam.
Yeah.
Real Midland.
It's usually prefixed with a bit of a cuss as well. So
yeah. Let's move on to Haydock. The 205 is the Rendlesham, and at the top of the betting we have got Thomas Darby, who's 2.87. Molly Ollie's Wishes is 3.5, 5.5 for third win. Topville Ben is 8.0, 12.0 Tom, 13.0 for Holstone. Okay, so Third Wind. I can't remember who made the case first before for Mr. Fisher, but Donn, Third Wind.
Yeah, look, Thomas Darby, first of all, I think he's the type of horse that you want to back at a biggish price in a good race rather than back him at a shorter price in a grade 2. So I'm happy to be against him at a short price. He's got buckets of talent. He just needs everything to go his way. So I'm happy to be against him at the price. And Third Wind, I think he's rock solid. He loves Haydock, and Haydock, we see it time and time again, maybe more so over fences than over hurdles, but track form on heavier soft ground, when you go back there on heavier soft ground, it's massive. And he won the race last year. He won with more in hand than the winning margin. He went clear, and then he just kind of idled on the run in, and Lisnagar Oscar closed him down to a half a length to 3/4 of a length. But it was a good run. And then last time at Warwick behind Sporting John again, he just got outpaced when they quickened around the home turn, and then kept on. I think on heavy ground at Haydock, or even soft ground at Haydock, that just plays to his strengths. His other run at Haydock as well, when he ran in the Betfair Exchange Stairs hurdle, the handicap at the November meeting, was a really good run. He finished second that day behind Main Fact. So I think the track is massive. I think course form at Haydock and soft ground is more important than it is at most other tracks. I think it's a big consideration. Third Wind has it, and he's only had 2 runs this season. It didn't run well against Champ in the long walk hurdle, but last time was much more like it. I think he can step forward from that. There's every chance that Hughie Morrison has had this race in mind for him as last year's winner, and given how well he goes at the track. And yeah, I thought he should be closer to Thomas Darby in the market than he is.
I'll just come to you, Adele, next, only because I saw you nodding away to Don's thoughts about Thomas Darby and saying maybe in this sort of race he's not one to have too much faith in.
No, I've tipped him before. He let me down. That's it. He's off my list. I tipped him at Weather. Gone. No, I think he is. He's a horse you would tip in a better race, more runners. So that's why I've gone for Molly Ollie's Wishes. She's done very little wrong this season. Obviously winning at Wetherby. She hasn't ran at Haydock, and I agree with Donn having the course form is always a plus there at Haydock, but the fact that she's won at Wetherby, I can't imagine her not being able to handle Haydock. Obviously, she's not ran there before. I tipped her obviously at Ascot when she won, and it was that day I tipped her because she was obviously back into her own company, and I know she's back taking on the boys, but having that mare's allowance is very attractive in a race like this, I think, anyway. And she's a game mare. We don't know we know the grounds. What is it? Heavy, soft in places. He's got it down at Haydock. I've definitely seen heavy in the description. Anyway,
I was thinking. I thought it was heavy all over. Maybe there is soft.
Heavy all over. It might be heavy all over. It could be anything on Saturday. Who would know?
It will be.
Could even be watering, for all we know. But she'll handle it anyway. She handles any ground. She's won on very heavy ground. So I like her. I like her.
Molly Ollie's Wishes for you. And Sam, flesh out the Third Wind case.
Bang goes Adele's chance of a bit of PA work at Haydock anyway. Talking of watering. Thomas Darby is a horse that I quite like, but for all the reasons that the guys have already mentioned, in the strongly run handicap. I know he's won small field conditions races, but I do prefer him. He can stick the head in the air a little bit. He's a bit of an ungainly fella like myself. So I'm sticking with Third Wind, really. Just as Donn said, a couple of good, solid runs around Haydock. I think it's so important. If you can handle that track, it's almost tighter than Wolverhampton. If you're happy there, I know they've got long straights and stuff, but not every horse acts there. He does. He acts on bottomless ground. I think you're going to have to be a submarine to operate on that ground on Saturday. If you look at the forecast, it's going to be horrific. And that's if the meeting's on. So I think he's a bit of value at 5.5 to win again for the second time in 12 months.
And if that takes him getting the Grand National Trial, it's definitely going to take a little bit of getting. We move on to that. And Secret Reprieve just about heads the betting at 4.0. Does sat 7.0 for Sam Brown, 9.0 on Gar, Black Lion, Bristol the Mai, then into the double figures. Adele, you can take it away first of all on Secret Reprieve.
I just think he's such a nice horse, and I know it was a big ask for him to win the Welsh National on his reappearance run. And to be honest with you, though, it wasn't a bad run at all. He come there travelling, and he just ran out of petrol. That was the fact of it. He just got tired. I I still think he's a nice horse, and carrying 10 stone 5 and what's going to be very testing conditions on Saturday. We know he stays further, so I think he's a nice horse, and I think he's a very worthy favourite, to be honest with you.
Yeah, he is chunky double figures for the National itself. Might do well to get into that, but we'll see. Sam Brown for a couple of you. Sam, first of all.
Yeah, I thought it was a good run in the Peter Marsh. I think there was a fair bit of confidence behind his chance going into that race, and he's finished half a length behind Royal Pagaille, who's an absolute Haydock specialist, like another horse in this race, Bristol Demise. So I think that was a really solid run from him. Hopefully he hasn't left his run behind 4 weeks ago and he can reproduce. So instead of backing him each way, I'm going to back him and Black Lion, who's just been a revelation this year at Haydock. I mean, he won by 28 wickets last time. That race is already working out quite nicely. My only slight concern with Secret Reprieve is that he's going to be ridden from well off the pace, I would think. And you just got to get into a rhythm around Haydock. So I want a course and distance horse, or I want a course horse that operates well in the ground there. And he might be a class above Secret Reprieve, but I'm having to pay at 3.75 to find out. So I'd rather take a couple against him. I know Black Lion's older than me, but he's certainly a bit quicker than me, and he seems to be enjoying his racing. And I'll take a bit of a chance with him at 9.0. So split stakes, the two.
7.0 and 9.0. And you're Sam Brown as well, are you, Dom?
Yeah, continuing the Sam theme, continuing the Haydock theme.
I think we've rumbled your tipping here, Don, haven't we?
Yeah.
Your strategy.
Processes. Yeah, a strategy.
It's usually all about Sam.
But you've got a few good wins out of Sam Spinner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's gone back.
It's come back. Yeah, it's my last win in Nap, Tom. That
one. On Sam Brown. Yeah, look, he's again the Haydock course form that he has. He won the Altcar chase here, the Grade 2 Novices chase, and then his second run was that run against Royal Pagaille and the Peter Marsh last time, and it was a hell of a run. Like, Royal Pagaille is going to go in the Gold Cup probably, and is a lively outsider in that, and he's a Haydock horse as well. So Sam Brown actually, he I look at the race again earlier on today. He really ran him close, and even when Royal Pagaille got past him and came over towards the near side, he rallied on the far side. So he's never been beyond 3.25 miles before. We don't know how he's going to get 3.5, but I think, it's what Sam said, it's more about rhythm and traveling and handling the ground than it is about the extreme trip. It's only 2 furlongs further than the 3.25 miles. So I wouldn't worry too much about him. I'd be more concerned, and Sam alluded to this as well, at the turnaround time. It's only 4 weeks since that run in the Peter Marsh, but hopefully it'll be enough. And that wasn't his first run of the year. He did run at Aintree in the Many Clouds chase behind Protectorat, so it was second run of the season, and he is a likely race horse. He's 10 years old now, but he's only had 10 or 11 runs in total, and only 7 over fences, so there could be even more to come from him. He's up 2 pounds for his run against Royal Pagaille the last day, and I think that's more than fair. It was a good run. Fortescue was behind him, Remasters was behind him, Lord of Menil, another Haydock horse, he was well behind him, so it was a very good run, and back at Haydock on soft ground, shouldn't hold any fears for him. Look, Black Lion, he was a revelation the last day at Haydock over this course and distance, but I just think Sam Brown maybe could improve by a wee bit more than Black Lion. He got a fair hike. He got £9 from the handicapper for that, which, look, he had to get a fair hike. He won by 28 lengths or thereabouts, so he did have to get that hike, and he's a Haydock, obviously proven at Haydock on soft ground, so he's a player. But yeah, I just think Sam Brown, the quality of his run the last day was good. And on Secret Reprieve, again, without the course form, I'm happy to be against him at a short enough price.
A couple of shouts for Sam Brown then. Right, we move on to the lays. So the best lays. Don, I know you're sitting this out. That's fine. If you don't have one, that's not a problem at all. Adele, we know who yours is. Your best lay is?
Fiddler on the Roof.
Fiddler on the Roof.
I will take myself out of the group chat if I lose. I will myself out.
Not
at all. We'll just change the photo to a Fiddler on the Roof. Sam, your lay
is Good Risk at All. I thought these were obligatory, otherwise I'd have pleaded the Fifth Amendment like Don has. But he's obviously up in trip. He looks like he'll get it, and he perhaps wasn't ridden to best advantage at Warwick last time behind Barry Keller, who pinched that race a little bit. But he hasn't always jumped brilliantly, this horse, and he's under 2 to 1 or under 3.0. So I've got to pick something. And I'd rather not pick one of Adele's because I'm not like that. And so I ended up with good risk at all for my sins. So what's that lag up?
Okay, that's the lays, and then best bets. Sam.
Surprisingly, it's Fiddler on the Roof who's carrying 13 stone this weekend.
Someone's going to be right. Donn, your best bet, sir?
Third wind for all the reasons outlined earlier. Course form, probably prepared for the race, can progress from the last time, won the race last year, and a favourite who is probably shorter than he should be.
And because it's windy. And Adele.
Secret Reprieve. You probably noticed I've gone for a horse that is probably the track that might not be on Saturday. But I think this is a very nice horse, and I think he's a horse with unfinished business this season, especially running so well on his return in the Welsh National. So come on, Secret Reprieve.
Good stuff. Thanks, everyone. Reminder that competition is still open for you to win 2 tickets to Matchbook Kingwell Hurdle Day. Just guess what price Goshen went off when he won the Kingwell Hurdle last year. Yes, it was bigger than the SP, but what was it? So get your suggestions in on Twitter really from now. Thanks to those that have given suggestions on the comments already. And we'll let you know who has won and contact you directly, and you can get yourselves to Wincanton. As far as the podcast goes, that is us. Have a lovely weekend all. Stay inside tomorrow in particular. It's going to be windy. Bye-bye.